Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? I hope you're all fit and well. Just need to pause for a moment to say today is officially World Algorithm Day. Morning, Al. All the way from luxurious Luxembourg. He is the undisputed king of Luxembourg. That may be disputed, actually, thinking about it, but good morning, Al, and good morning to everybody else that's in the chat already this morning. My day got off to a near catastrophic start. I made myself and the long-suffering Mrs. Demolition use our usual morning coffee this morning. One of our dogs walked across my path, and there was a near catastrophic collision. I mean, in the end, I didn't actually touch the dog, and I didn't trip. Didn't actually spill any coffee either, but I was visibly shaken and anxious after this near catastrophic incident. I really do beg for your understanding at this very difficult and near catastrophic time for myself and my wife. If you were watching the news last night, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Just a quickie before we get started. I was planning out my calendar last night, and we've got a bit of a gap coming up in our broadcasting schedule. I'd already said that due to my impending, much look forward to colonoscopy, I'm going to be absent on the 30th and 31st of this month. I'm now told that the 29th is actually a bank holiday here in the UK, so I'll actually be absent for 3 days that week. That's on top of the fact that I'm going to miss 2 days next week because I'll be swanning about Czech Republic with the fine folks at Bobcat. I can only apologise. I will keep you posted of when I decide to do a show next, but I promise I will keep you posted. Now, without further ado, let me roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show very much on the road. It is Thursday, the 18th of May. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, we're taking a closer look at the latest additions to the, you ready? Develon wheel loader range. We're keeping the dust down with Dynaset, and we're gaming with JCB. Plus, we're marking the 175th anniversary of the Wacker brand. We're going to get to all of that in just a second. But first, let us peer back through the mists of time to see what was happening on this day in history. On this day in 1804, Napoleon Bonaparte became Emperor of France. Big day for a little guy. In 1860, the US Republican Party nominated one Abraham Lincoln for president. In 1965, American engineer Ray Dolby founded the Dolby Laboratories in London, and things have sounded a lot better ever since. Also in 1965, writer Gene Roddenberry suggested 16 names for the character of the Star Trek captain. One of those names was Kirk. In 1980, Mount St. Helens erupted in Washington state, causing the largest landslide in history. In 1995, Mel Gibson's Braveheart premiered at the Seattle Film Festival. I think Scots have been questioning Gibson's Scottish accent ever since. And in 2001, DreamWorks Pictures premiered a new animated movie featuring Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz, and Mike Myers as voice actors. That film was Shrek. Now, before we get into the real meat of the show, let me remind you of the question of the day, and let me do so using my really, really smart computer avatar. Yep, that's right. Nice and simple this morning. What is the very best thing you can put on a slice of toast? Now, personally, on good white bread, I am very much a simple butter man. I've had some this morning. On brown bread, however, I'm a marmalade man. I need to know your answers. What about you guys? Let us know in the chat, and we'll come back to that at the end of the show. The show's about to start with this. Not content with changing its name and forcing us all to learn how to say Develon, the company formerly known as Doosan has been continuing to update and upgrade its product range. And the latest machines to come under the spotlight are its wheel loaders.
Hey, my name's Bill Zach, product manager for wheel loaders. There's several new innovations. Transparent bucket, our round view camera, and with that the increased glass within the cab, all equaling greater visibility to the front and the rear, which leads to safety. With this transparent bucket, we can raise that bucket up and through the screen see beyond the bucket. We take a camera high, camera low, and we mix it through a video controller, and what one camera sees and the other can't, it intermixes it and we can see beyond the bucket. If an operator is running in an environment where he's not using the machine at full capacity, the different controllers on the machine will sense that in this situational awareness technology mode, and it'll downgrade your engine output to conserve fuel. So the I button, it's our information button. If we put the machine in, let's say, a rental environment where we've got an operator that's not quite as experienced and doesn't understand the ISO symbols, he can push that I button. Every button on the console will flash, and on our 8-inch touchscreen monitor, it will tell him a description of what that function is. It's a good mode of transportation. Air ride seats, heated and ventilated air conditioning, your HVAC system. It's climate controlled, one of the quietest cabs in the industry. It's just a great environment. And then you start to add, you talk about operator comfort, you start to add electronic steering, joystick steering, and you got your loader control joysticks. It's just very, very comfortable.
Yeah, they really look the part, fully loaded as well. Regardless of the name on the rear, I think they are a very smart tool indeed. But what do you think? You're the experts. What do you think of the new Develon? I'm going to learn to say that, the new Develon wheel loaders. Let us know. Now, you might recall that when I travelled to Volvo's headquarters in Sweden last year, I did so as part of an influencer program. I was there with my mate Martin, the Norwegian earth mover, over on Instagram, and with Hugo from Big Machinery. But also in attendance, which was a first for me, were several gamers. One from the States, my mate DJ Goham, and several from France, and one from Switzerland, if I remember rightly. Well, as it turns out, it's not only Volvo that has recognised the rise and rise of the gamer.
I think a lot of sims obviously have to strike a balance between how difficult something like that is and fun.
It's different, but it's the same. The actual feeling of the controls feels the same. You're getting a lot more feedback, obviously, from the real machinery.
Ja, ist eine tolle Marke, sind tolle Maschinen und sind ja auch von woanders schon bekannt. Die Marke JCB, also ich freue mich sehr, dass JCB bei dem Construction Simulator mit dabei ist und ja, freue mich aufs Spielen.
In my head, I thought I was going to be a lot better. I thought it was going to be really safety conscious, thought it was going to be really neat. I thought I was going to take it slow, but dig a nice neat trench, and in reality that just didn't happen.
I'm using my thumbs to operate, where you normally use my hands to operate the levers. So yeah, it was a bit different, never been into games, and I've learned through the years operating machines for real.
Because of construction sim, you kind of learn the concepts and the mechanics and what works and what doesn't, and even the controls to a certain extent, but there's no substitute for being in the real thing and being thrown around and feel the weight of stuff. I managed to lift the excavator up a couple of times. So yeah, it's operating the machines for real is more difficult than you perhaps might think.
Also ich muss dazu sagen, dadurch, dass ich ja, am Joystick im Spiel schon viel geübt habe, fiel es mir jetzt relativ leicht. Das Ganze auch in Real Life zu steuern, ist nochmal völlig was anderes, wenn man so zwei Joysticks in der Hand hat, muss alles miteinander koordinieren und ja, eben schauen, dass das zusammenpasst. Das ist dann schon nochmal ein Unterschied zum Spiel, aber ja, war auf jeden Fall gut. Ich finde, es ist vom Spiel zum Echten oder vom Echten zum Spiel sehr, sehr gut umgesetzt. Also es macht wirklich Spaß.
Yeah, Backco just felt really nice, really smooth. Love the heated seats in today's weather. That was a real plus. Yeah, it was great. I thought that it would actually be harder to control in real life. It was surprisingly intuitive, and apart from technique, obviously, which need practice and training to improve upon, the actual feeling of the controls were a lot easier than I first thought.
A lot of fun, more fun than I thought it would be. It's a very versatile machine, and yeah, just even lifting the gravel up over there was actually in real life there's a little bit more skill involved than you think, and I don't know, I've just enjoyed all of it, to be honest. There's no massive standout moment. It's all been a lot of fun.
Yeah, the gamers did really well. I was impressed watching how they could operate, obviously because they've been using games for a long time. I see it with a lot of younger people that come to the quarry and have hands-on with us, that they can just get on and adapt very quickly with the controls.
They were all brilliant, they all took to it really well. So yeah, maybe the game has helped them in some way. All those years of practice on the game has actually made them experts when they got out in the real world.
Yeah, you might recall that I actually suggested we have a construction simulator league here on the Breakfast Show. There were no takers at the time, and so I abandoned the idea, which I'd gone through with it now. But there is a fair bit to unpack there. First of all, we've got this comment from Steve Williamson, who said it would be great to meet DJ Goham. So enthusiastic. I can't get you to meet him, but I can actually show you what he looks like.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's DJ Goham. You are watching the Breakfast Show.
Yes, and as Steve rightly says, he is very enthusiastic. Let's have a look. Steve also says, I've got that game, Farmer Simulator, great games, spend hours on it. Interesting to see. Ken Hatcher says, first JCB I've seen at the quarry with sprockets to the front, our resident sprocket spotter, but very impressive stuff, he says. And then Al Grierson pipes up with, looks fun. I'm guessing this is an addition to the main game. That was certainly the reason that that Volvo took DJ Goham and the other gamers to Volvo. To Eskilstuna, because the Volvo product range, including some from way back when, had been added to the game. I'm assuming, I don't actually know, but I'm assuming that's exactly the case here. And at least he can say breakfast show. Yes, we will dig out the blooper reel from our friends Steve and Ed trying to say the breakfast show. Not helped by the fact that one's a Scot and the other one's a Welshman, but apparently neither of them could actually say that. But yeah, one thing that did strike me, and it was one of the gamers picked up there. He's not, or was it a gamer that picked it up, or was it an operator? Can't remember. But he said he's used to using his hands, and on the game you're using his thumbs, or he's using his thumbs. When we spoke about controls a few weeks ago, there were quite a few operators that said they actually operate with their fingertips. I wonder if those fingertip operators would be better at the game. Again, I'm going to suggest the idea of a breakfast show league for the construction simulator. Any takers, please let me know. I'd be happy to keep score. I'm not going to take part because A, not a gamer, B, terrible operator, but I'd be more than happy to host it. Let me know. Unless you've been living in a cave these past few days, you'll know that the we're now 4 days actually into the health and safety executives crackdown on site dust. I've already had my say on that, and how I believe that the HSE really should have bigger fish to fry, like Didcot, like Red Gardens. Enough. If you are concerned about dust, however, you could do worse than speak to the fine folks at Dynaset. Yes, the HSE is going to focus on dust for a few months. Meanwhile, Dynaset have been battling dust for decades. Now, I may have spoken out of turn here. I'm going to deal with Jim Turner's comment first of all, referring to the construction simulator. Great way to introduce kids to our trade. 100%. Totally agree. Totally agree. Let's have a look. Jim Turner says, fair play, Steve. Another vote for Farming Simulator. Sounds like Jim's a player. The lad has put the cheats on it. So there's stacks of extra machines to choose from on ours. Interesting. Steve Williams says, definitely a league. I'm up for that. Okay, so there are some obstacles to overcome. A, I don't know how a league would work. And B, can we broadcast it live? I don't know. I'm sure there must be a way of doing that. What I will say is if we can figure it out, I will personally, from my own hard-earned cash, I will put up the Breakfast Show trophy to the winner of that league if we can get that up and running. Let me know. Al Grissom, we're surprised to find out that these are optional on ultra-high demolition machines. Yeah, do you know, it's a really strange thing with UHD machines, Al. I was speaking to somebody here in the UK not so long ago who had just spent upwards of £750,000 on a new UHD machine. I'm not going to name names. The machine arrived and he went to the dealer to go and give it the once over. There was no additional pipework for attachments. There was no reversing camera. It was bare bones. And yes, dust suppression is not standard on all ultra high demolition machines. And bearing in mind the fact that if you're up high and you're creating dust, that dust has the opportunity to travel a whole lot further. You would like to think that would be a standard. You might have spotted in that section as well, there was an Arden attachment at work. The Arden Jet to this day is the best dust suppression I have seen in action on a demolition site. And the nozzles and the system that actually projects that water is Dynaset, but it's on the Arden attachments. But to make it very smart indeed, and it's computer driven, aren't we all these days? The water is only dispersed while the machine is actually munching and crunching. When the jaws are open, no dust, therefore no water. As soon as you start munching, there is dust because that's when there is water rather because that's when the dust is created. Very smart, great way of saving water as well. Question of the day, which I will remind you is question of the day is, what is the best thing you can put on toast? And Steve Williamson, I can't actually remember what his original answer is, but I'll go back and have a look. But he's now changing it. How I forgot, I've no idea. But cheese on toast is the dogs. Cheese on toast is a pretty damn fine invention, I have to say. Right. I've no idea how we ended up on toast, but let's move on, shall we?
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Now, I do have a point to make, but good morning, Andy Bullock, who has just said, is there a sensor on the muncher so the key auto sprays, so the jet rather, sprays towards it? Not as far as I know. I'm fairly sure that the jets are, or the nozzles are fixed, but they deliver one hell of a burst of water. If you get a chance, look back or go onto YouTube and have a look for the Arden jet, ARDEN jet. You'll see it in action. Now, you can tell that we have, I've already described him as the undisputed king of Luxembourg. You have people that are perhaps too good for this show in our midst. Al Grierson. Now I've had the time to think, foie gras on toast is lovely. Foie gras. They do things differently in Luxembourg. We're settling with cheese. He makes it worse on toasted brioche bread. You see, I'm sure that he's toasted brioche with foie gras is brought to him by one of his many, many manservants. Lucky old you, Al. Now, anniversaries. I was going to talk about anniversaries. Back in March, we marked the 3rd anniversary of this here show. 6 days ago, I celebrated my 33rd wedding anniversary. But I've got an awful long way to go if I'm to catch up the fine folks at Wacker. Sorry, you caught me typing. I didn't realise it ended as abruptly as that. But yes, 175 years of innovation. That really is a remarkable achievement. Our hats off to the fine folks at Wacker. Now we need one of these. And the thing I was typing was a slight correction to what you're about to hear. At 9:15 on the 18th of April 1930, a BBC news announcer took to the nation's airwaves to deliver the evening's news bulletin. His script was short. It contained 4 words. There is no news. With that, the news bulletin was replaced with piano music. Compare that with the rolling news of today. I was working on my laptop last night and Sky News was on in the background. They were reporting on Prince Harry and his missus being chased by the paparazzi. The lady in the studio said the couple, together with Meghan Markle's mother, were pursued for 2 hours by paparazzi during what Prince Harry's spokesperson described as a near catastrophic car chase. Let's go over to our US correspondent. The US correspondent cleared his throat and said the couple, together with Meghan Markle's mother, were pursued for 2 hours by the paparazzi during what Prince Harry's spokesperson has described as a near catastrophic car chase. He then handed back to the studio. The news anchor, clearly not bored with the subject, then handed off to a royal correspondent who said, "We understand that the couple, together with Meghan Markle's mother, was pursued for 2 hours by the paparazzi during what Prince Harry's spokesperson described, you guessed it, as a near catastrophic car chase." They filled about 15 minutes of airtime with that, together with some stock footage of the couple arriving or leaving various events. There used to be an expression back in the day when talking about a new album release. That expression was all killer, no filler. Sadly, the rolling TV news appears to have turned all of that on its head to become all filler, no killer. Anyway, that is my gripe of the day. I'd love to hear yours. What is it that grinds your gears, gets your goat, generally butters your parsnips? The daily gripe therapy session will return forthwith. Right, that pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show. I'm going to hop over into the chat in just a second, gazelle-like, obviously, because I need to talk about all things that go on toast and stuff. Between now and then, look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. If you have the time and the inclination, I'll see you after a word from our sponsor for what is now known as the Craic. Right, let's have a the chat is still busy. Let me go back to I tell you what, let's get some music playing first. I tell you what, I don't know about you people, but I'm feeling a little bit funky today. Yeah, that seems appropriate for a day like today. How are we all doing? Let me go back to the very beginning. I think first off the mark this morning was the Sprocket Man himself, Mr. Ken Hatcher. Morning, Ken. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Gary Muirhead, who gave me the idea of Thumbs Up Thursday. I think we could probably do with a graphic to sum up. Maybe we could do with a graphic for each day. Miserable Monday. Too early Tuesday. Happy Hump Day, as Dan Carnaway says. Well, maybe that's something we'll work on. There is Al Grierson, the undisputed King of Luxembourg. Morning, Al. We'll come back to you at some point. Mark Whiting is in the house, as is Jim Turner. Good morning to both of you, gentlemen. There was my question of the day. You see, there are times when I sit and I worry and I fret over what the question of the day should be. What will you find interesting, engaging, and that kind of thing. This morning, I was feeling a bit peckish. I had some toast, and I thought, there you are. That's my question of the day. There was that much thought went into it, roughly a nanosecond. But yeah, apparently, it's been a good topic. Lots of answers on that. There is our new friend Irvin over on LinkedIn Land. Morning, Irvin. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now, it is hard. It is very, very hard to argue with the first entry in our what's the best thing you can put on toast, and that comes from our friend Ken Hatcher. Beans. Heinz baked beans. Other brands of beans are available, of course, but Heinz baked beans on toast. Hard to beat. Do like me a spaghetti hoop. You know, when I'm trying to posh it up a bit. One of the joys of working from at home is lunch. You after you've had cheese and pickle and corned beef and pickle sandwiches 3 days on the trot, you have to get inventive. So spaghetti hoops on toast is a regular go-to in the Demolition News household. Let's have a look. There's our friend Mantis. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you very much indeed for being here. The superstar of stage and screen and construction sites across the world. Steve Williamson is in the house. Morning, Steve. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Here's Glenn Johnston. Now, let me think. Was Glenn our winner of the big prize? I think he was. Should be with you very, very soon. Question of the day. Now, Gary Muirhead, spoken like a true Scot. Marmalade. Good answer. Hard to argue. And I tell you what, and I haven't had it for years. Does anyone remember lime marmalade? Lime marmalade. Now, that was a joy. Is that still available? Need to go and have a look. Now, I know that Steve Williamson ultimately changes his mind And I have to say, I'm glad that he did so, because this is where he and I part company. Question of the day: lemon curd. Lemon curd on toast. What a monster. Jim Turner, definitely cheese with mango chutney. I have a theory about Jim Turner. I believe he may actually have shares in a mango chutney company. Either that, or he actually makes mango chutney and sells it. He does seem to be quite the fan. Either that, or he's just an addict. I don't know. Jim, mango chutney. How you managed to get mango chutney into back-to-back shows that are about demolition and construction, Lord alone knows. But well done. You've managed to do that. Now, to show that he is a man of the people, Al Grierson originally said, on toast, salted butter and or homemade strawberry jam. See, man of the people. Kind of ruins that when we go on a little bit further on, but we'll get to that in a second. Yes, would be great to meet DJ Goham. So enthusiastic. I'm glad you've heard of him, actually. I have to admit, I'm not a gamer by any means. And when I did meet him, didn't know the first thing about him, couldn't understand what the hell he was doing in Volvo land until he explained. And it was one of those things, once we'd sort of broken the ice, not that there was much ice to break, but once we'd broken the ice, it turns out that he uses exactly the same broadcasting system that I do, the same light that I use, the same microphone that I used to use. We were both coming from the same place. And what was interesting about, as you said, he's so enthusiastic. And I realise, Steve, you've rubbed shoulders with our American cousins very recently. A lot of them are enthusiastic. But what was amazing with DJ Goham was how he could literally turn it on. I said to him, I'd like to get you saying, welcome to the Breakfast Show on camera. And he literally just casually went, yeah, fine, I'll do that. And I aimed a camera at him and said, right, go. And he just came alive. Hi, this is DJ Goham. I wish I could do that. I wish I could come across as a bit more enthusiastic. Maybe if I did the show later in the day after the coffee had kicked in, maybe that would help. I've got that game and Farming Simulator, great game. Spend hours on it. I had a bit of a go. I had a trial of the Construction Simulator. As I say, I'm not a gamer by any means. And I have to say, I found it very, very slow. I'm just trying to remember exactly. I think you start with an amount of money. You then earn enough money to buy your first machine. When you've earned enough money, subsequently you can upgrade your machine and so on. But I've no idea how you go about getting the Volvo suite of equipment, or the JCB suite and everything else. Maybe I needed to stick with it longer. Maybe. I don't know. There is Ken Hatcher spotting the sprockets to the front. I think that's what happens when you allow gamers behind the controls. Maybe very impressive stuff that from JCB. It is interesting that there will have been. I'm not saying JCB have paid to be on the game, because I'm sure that's not the case, and I'm sure Volvo didn't either. But these major multinational companies don't do these things for no reason at all. In actual fact, if you want to see it, you can go and have a look on our YouTube channel. There is my visit to the Monktel Museum. The Monktel name was the M in the Volvo BM from back in the day. Volvo took it all over, and it became the giant that it is today. But as part of their preparation for that farm simulator game, I think it was, they basically gave the designers and developers of that game access to their entire back catalogue. So they came along and scanned not just current machines, but machines going back 10, 20, 50, 80 years. And all of those are available in the games. I don't know how you go about unlocking them in the game. But going back to the point I was making is the fact that I know Volvo are certainly on the farming simulator. I don't know if they're on the construction one. Caterpillar are most certainly on the construction one. Now JCB are on there. And there must be some thinking in mind there of what they stand to get out of it. What do the major manufacturers get out of being part of the game? Are they trying, as Jim Turner says, trying to introduce kids to our trade, or are they trying to catch people early so that when those people eventually go to work, they are already aware of who JCB, who Volvo, who Caterpillar are? Yeah, Looks like fun. I'm guessing this is an addition to the main game. I don't know. I spotted that on YouTube, and there wasn't a press release that went with it. But I'm assuming that is very much the case. Our friend Fetty, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, is here. Unfortunately, my friend, I can't read that. We're a strictly English language channel. Some would argue that what I speak is not even particularly good English, but I can't read that, I'm afraid. But good morning to you nonetheless. Steve Williamson, at least he can say the Breakfast Show. Yeah, as I say, I will dig out the blooper reel. I'll get Fred to do that for me. While we were at ConExpo back in March, we pointed the camera at about a dozen different people and got them to say, hi, my name is, and you are watching the Breakfast Show. We had one of the guys from Kinsoffer did it in 2 takes. Our friend over at the Oil Quick Stand did it in 1. Somebody on the Connected Work Tools also did it in 1. Steve Williamson and Ed Butler, roughly 12 takes, I guess. And I don't think they ever got it right once. I admire their consistency, if nothing else. Let's have a look. Fair play, Steve. Another vote for Farming Simulator. Yeah, okay. As I say, I don't know how a league works. I need to go and do a bit of homework. If you can figure out how it works, I'd love to hear from you. And if you can display your screen, Steve, you've already been a guest on one of our evening shows. You obviously know how my system works. If you can share your screen. So if you and some others would like to play a game and come on a show so that we can watch you doing so, I can make that happen, I'm fairly sure. Was surprised to learn that dust suppression is not standard on UHD machines. You'd think it was, but it isn't. Now, I mentioned earlier that Steve Williamson had gone for lemon curd, but just to prove that he's not a complete monster, he did come back and say, cheese on toast. And yes, cheese on toast. Damn fine thing. Cheese on toast with Worcestershire sauce. Anybody else? Or is that just me? Is that a weird quirk of mine? I don't know. There is our friend Andy Bullock questioning the spray, or the jet spray on the Arden jet. Don't know the answer, but I'm fairly sure it is fixed. And although Al Grissom did mention the joys of strawberry jam earlier to prove he's a man of the people, he then remembered his fine upbringing and went for foie gras on toasted brioche. I'm more with Andy Bullock, to be honest. Can't beat beans on toast. No, you certainly can't. Let's have a look. Steve Williamson's back. Defo up there with cheese on toast. When I worked offshore, they did toasted buns with beans and melted cheese on top. I'm questioning the nutritional value of spicy banana pizza and toasted buns with beans and melted cheese. It's a wonder you survived at all, Steve. It really is. Andy Bullock, it's funny how things are named these days. People still say Wacker for any manufacturer of vibration plate, or Moxie for an ADT, or Hymac for an excavator. I sense that Hymac is drifting off, but that is one of the... Probably should have saved this for a gripe of the day, but I've already had a go at the news media today, so I'm going to let them have it again right now. There's been an incident. It might be a ram raid, it might be a machine's fallen off, a low loader, it might have been a bridge collapse or a building collapse, and the machine has fallen, and you have a news reporter standing there with the machine in the background, and he says, and as you can see behind me, the JCB is lying on its side, and the JCB that's lying on its side has got Caterpillar written down the side. Is it that hard? Do they not realise that these things work the same as cars? Would you as a news reporter stand there and say there's been a horrific accident involving a BMW while pointing at a Ford Fiesta? Who does that? And yet they do. And I am aware of the fact that we do in some ways operate in a bubble. Back in the day, and I'm going back 30 odd years now, I worked with the Kent Police when they were stepping up their battle against plant theft back in the day. And they said one of the big issues that they had was not only the police officers could not identify brands, they couldn't identify machine types either. So I actually provided them with a sheet of silhouettes. You know, if it's got a big bucket on the front and a little bucket on the back that's a backhoe loader. If it's above that size, that's an excavator. And above that, down to that size, mini excavator. This is what a dumper looks like. They were unaware, and again, it's second nature to me. It's second nature to all of you. But I guess if you're not living and breathing that all the time, maybe you're not aware of what a Thwaites dumper looks like. I find it hard to believe people can go through life without knowing what a Thwaites dumper is, but apparently they can. Mostly from old guys like me. Yeah, and these things, listen, let me think. We have had in this house, we've had a Henry the Hoover. We've had, what's the wet one? I can't remember. There is a vacuum cleaner that does like wet vacuuming. We've had a Shark. We've had a Dyson. But we still do the hoovering. It's kind of cast, isn't it? You know, we're stuck with that. You don't do the Dysoning. Yes. Al Grierson. Stenographers to power, you don't even need to put in your own words. No, absolutely right. You are only pursued if you run. So he was the instigator of the car chase. The ginger tosser needs to get a grip. Look, so here's the thing, right? I understand, obviously, the background with his mother and how she sadly perished. I understand that. I also understand... my father did the defensive driving course and exam because he was a chauffeur and, you know, had dignitaries in the back of his car and stuff like that. And I do realise, you know, that I remember my dad telling me that while nobody ever actually said it out loud, it was almost a case of in order to safeguard the person in the back of your car, anything goes. If that means driving on the pavement and running down pedestrians, so be it. They didn't say it in so many words, but that was kind of the implication. So I understand all of that. But is having your photograph taken really that much of an intrusion? Now, I say that as a non-celeb. I'm sure if your every waking hour is filled with flash photography, I'm sure it will get on your tits after a while. But is that really a reason to try to escape? Now, I realise being a royal, you know, there is potential for attack, potential for kidnapping, and so on down the line. But really, you got there was a security detail. The person driving the car will have been trained to do with evasive driving and so on down the line. Was all of that absolutely necessary? And I'm saying this as a person, I want nothing whatsoever to do with the royal family whatsoever. They could go away tomorrow, and I don't think I'll even notice. If truth be told, if I had to choose sides in what is supposedly a them against them battle, I would actually side with Harry. Harry seems like an all right kind of guy. A bit whingy, quite a bit whingy, but I err more towards Harry's side. But a near catastrophic car chase. Stop the car, get out and walk. Have your photograph taken. It's not that hard, is it? Booms Up Friday is Steve Williams' suggestion. Doesn't quite have the alliteration of Thumbs Up Thursday, though, does it? TFI Friday is my offer on that. Bank holiday today. Really can't complain. Bank holiday on a Thursday. Luxembourg is either decades ahead of us or decades behind. I don't know which it is. Bank holidays are Mondays, surely, aren't they? It's just two publicity whores trying to stay current. Hey, publicity whores. This guy, they should crawl back under their stone, he recommends. I'll share with the group. Hello, group. My name is Jim Turner, and I've been a mango chutney addict for at least 30 years. Do you attend a club for that? Is there a support group? Is there a 12-step program to get you off the mango chutney and onto lime pickle or something? I honestly don't know. Andy Bullock, I have a game called Gold Rush. I configured the Xbox controller to work the same as the digger levers. I dip a left, boom right. My son picked it up straight away. You configured the Xbox controller. That people do that. People can do. I listen. I stopped. I had. I can't even remember what it was called. I had like a Commodore 64, and I had the very first PlayStation. Quite like me a bit of Crash Bandicoot back in the days, but I mean I've literally not picked up a game controller in 20 years. I would have thought, and probably better for it. Dan Cullen is in the house, saying how are we all, and he's had a hectic morning. The question of the day. I probably need to start playing this a bit later as well. Right, what's the question of the day? First of all, question of the day for today is, what is the best thing you can put on a slice of toast? And then he goes on to say, I had a proper go at project management this morning, to which he said, watch your mouth. There, you don't know what's going on. To which I said, looks sweet, FA, as I've been asking for grease and diet for 3 days and a smaller machine, so can be more efficient. I was on the verge of just walking out. You do pick them, Dan, don't you? There is our friend from way across the Atlantic, our friend Wolf Welder. Good morning, almost through the work week, yes. We have nicknamed it Thumbs Up Thursday over here in good old Blighty. I don't know what you Americans call the UK. Home, possibly? I don't know. Dan Cullen says, I'm with Jim. Front linkage up Friday. Oh, there's a bit more alliteration to it, but I'm not entirely sure. Hash browns and a banana for breakfast. What did you have? I had a slice of toast, a slice of sourdough toast with some very salty butter on it, because I am not American, and I'm at breakfast time, a lot of the time actually, but particularly at breakfast time, I deeply regret not being American. Imagine waking up and thinking, bit peckish, I know, I'll pop to the nearest Shoney's diner and chow down on some of that fine stuff. Yes, if only. Dan Cullen, I think this Harry thing is bull, and they're just seeking attention. So they're not important since they messed up the royal status with their whinging. Can't argue with that, to be honest. Xbox controller, but the game was running on PC. Mind blown. Right, so we've had a broad, I would say. I think we've had a broad response on what is the best thing you can put on toast. It has gone from the very simple, the butter and jam. We've also had the extreme, the foie gras. Americans do things differently, and I believe they may do it better. Best thing you can put on a slice of toast is either cinnamon sugar or garlic salt with butter. Not sure I could face garlic that early in the morning. I'm saying this, toast to me is a breakfast dish. Tell me if I'm wrong, I may well be, but toast to me is a breakfast dish. At a push, it's a lunch dish. Do I really want to be stinking of garlic for the entire day? Truth be told, I stink of garlic most of the time, actually, but do I want to be looking for that? But cinnamon sugar on toast, yes, please. Chutney Munchers Anonymous, the CMA. I think you may have some competition for the name there, the CMA. Most people believe that to be the Competition and Markets Authority. Maybe that's what the members of the Chutney Munchers Anonymous want us to believe. Maybe they're operating undercover. Question of the day, toast and jam or plain toast? Toast and jam, yeah, absolutely. Andy Bullock says, imagine in the future, operators take their own controller and just plug it into the machine. The future is now, my friend. The future is now. It already exists. I can never remember the name of the electric skid steer. I know Nick Drew went to see it. Peter had it, went to have a play with it as well. It's green. It's not Avant. Can't remember the name of it. They do it. They actually supply each machine with a dedicated iPhone that is the controller for the machine. Bobcat can do the same. Bobcat have done the same. So you don't have to take your own controller. You just turn up with one of them. You stick it in a slot or something, and you are good to go. Yeah. Kerry Jones. Sorry, I haven't been about. I'm in places where you only get 3G, just back to civilization. It's, isn't that frustrating, eh? I'm just trying to remember where I was. It was only recently. Can't remember where I was. But I at one point I had 3G, and then it went down to E. Do you remember E? It was Edge, wasn't it? Which is basically, it's a really, really silly way of saying you've got no internet connection. There's nothing here for you. But yes, I actually encountered some Edge. How, why? It's 2023, people, and I will go back. I've mentioned this before, but I still find this absolutely astounding. Do you remember London 2012, the Olympics? And the fine folks at Virgin Media, God bless them and all who sail in them, because they are responsible for keeping this stream up and running. Virgin Media actually installed Wi-Fi, pretty good quality Wi-Fi and broadband on the London Underground system for the duration of the London Olympics. At the end of the London Olympics, they went to Transport for London and said, so do you want to keep it? In which case, you'll have to pay for it. And Transport for London went, nah, you're all right, take it out. Now, bearing in mind, a large swathe of the London Underground actually serves the financial capital of the country, the City of London, or the financial capital, some would argue, of the world. So, internet connectivity, being able to be online all the time, all the live long day, and Transport for London went, nah, you're right, take it away. We'll go back to sending each other's notes by pigeon between stops or something. Yeah. And no, it isn't Merlot. I wish I could remember the name of the company. Did they not? Is it not the company that changed their names to First Industries or something like that? Nick Drew's not here. He's not here to help me out. I wish he was. It's times like these where his brain power eclipses mine. Can't remember the name of the company, but listen. Go over to the Content with Media YouTube channel. Just search for skid steer and you will find it. It's green and white. You use an iPhone to drive it. It's fab. Trust me. So the future is here already. And where will that take us? Incidentally, and I think I think I mentioned, I'm currently working on something for a publishing company who have been watching what I've been doing, and they kind of want to emulate it in a sort of an allied industry, I guess. So they've asked me to come up with like a social media playbook on how I've done Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and this and so on down the line. And we got to talking about AI, artificial intelligence. And I thank you, Kerry. Thank you so much. You've just saved my brain. Cavaco, that's the name of the company. You're an absolute star, Kerry. Thank you very much indeed. That's the skid steer that you can operate by mobile phone. So yes, we got to talking about artificial intelligence. I wanted to prove a point. So I've been talking to one of their guys who's actually based outside of the UK, and I was talking about how I use AI on certain things. And he said, oh, all sounds a bit newfangled and, can't see that ever catching on. So after we'd had our Zoom call, I literally just went straight onto it. I took a section of copy, some of the words from their website, and I uploaded it into an online AI system called DID, D-ID, Digital ID. I selected an avatar, punched in the words that I'd taken from their website, and within about 90 seconds, I had a stunningly beautiful female sat there reading that script to me. She didn't exist. She wasn't real. And there were a couple of times where maybe she's not real. Maybe she is computer generated. But that was turned around and off to my friend overseas in about 3 minutes. And I kid you not, if I didn't tell you it was AI, you may not spot it. That's where we are today. And bear in mind, we are talking very much first-gen AI, or first-gen AI for the public at the very least. Why do people in conversation do one conversation text for conversations text? Hello, sir. My name is. Can I join groups, please? Here's my cards. It's relentless. All single messages. Why do they do that? I don't know why they do that. Not even sure what the gripe is there. The one thing I do have a gripe about with text is there are 6 people who live in my house. Me, my wife, several children, and the girlfriend of one of those children. All the children are 25 plus, so we're talking adults here. But we all go and do our various things. You know, my wife is actually with her mother at the moment because father-in-law is still in hospital. One daughter is at work. Son has got a day off. Fred is next door doing whatever it is that Fred does. So we all go out through the day. We often run out of stuff, you know, being a family of 6, run out of butter or bread or dog food. Dog food is a big one. Run out of dog food. So the way that I would deal with that is I've seen we've run out of dog food. When I go out, I'll pick up some dog food. My family don't do that. My family send a message, a text message or a WhatsApp message to say we're out of dog food. But often I get that message literally as I walk through the door. They may have sent it an hour, 2 hours before, but it actually lands on my phone. And all they need to do is to pick up the phone and say, get some dog food. That's it. Apparently people don't use the phone anymore. And an extension to that, up until the outbreak of COVID, now bear in mind I'd been a Zoom user, I'd done Microsoft Teams and Google Hangouts, I'd done all of those things from time to time. But I was still very much a telephone man. You know, if I want to know the answer to a question, I'll pick up the phone and I'll ask the person that will know. Now, apparently, it's the way that it works is I get an email to say, can we have a Zoom meeting on this date at that time so that I can ask you this thing? Well, I can tell you the answer now. No, we'll meet on Zoom. Why? Why are we meeting on Zoom? Is it to show off the fact that we've all got Zoom? There's nothing to show off about. A friend, a Wolf Welder, says the Wi-Fi I use is something like 250 kilobytes per second. Pretty nasty connection in the sticks. 250 kilobytes per second is, let me think, it's about 20 times less than what I need to do this. To get this up, I need 5 megapixels per second to get this actually up and out the door. It doesn't go out the door, obviously, you get the idea. But I need a minimum of 5. In an ideal world, I could do with 8, and I prefer 10. I check it every morning. And we're running at about 12 at the moment. So long as the gods of Virgin Media continue to smile upon us. It does fluctuate, as I expect. But yeah, we need a lot. And it is one of the constant frustrations. You'll know that I was planning to broadcast from ConExpo. Couldn't. I was planning to broadcast from Samota. I couldn't. And all of it is down to the fact that there's just like a lack of understanding in what actual internet speed is. Everybody talks about internet speed, i.e. the speed with which information comes down. So if you want to watch a movie or a YouTube video or listen to music, you need the fastest possible download speed. The only bit that worries me is the upload speed. I don't give a toss about the download speed because I'm not downloading. I'm pushing stuff up the hill. And we've got a download speed here, super fast. We've got 350 megapixels, I think. So we've got lightning fast. I can download an hour and a half movie in about a minute, something like that. No trouble at all. But the bit that bothers me is the speed with which I can push it up uphill. I'm in text 10 messages to get to the point. Yes. Are any of them handlers are in the UK? Can I see any on any sites? Yeah, those Wacker machines are here. Excuse me. Those Wacker machines are here. And speaking of things that are here, if you were here yesterday, you will know we featured that rod radar system. I've sent the video up to Steve Williamson as he requested. I think it was William Forrest who actually wanted to know if those rod radar buckets were going to be available here. I reached out to the developer of it, Chaim Bear, over in the States. I heard from him first thing this morning. And apparently we are likely to see them make landfall later this year. Wouldn't be drawn on the price, no great surprise, because obviously they will be coming in through an importer or a dealer or whatever it might be, and they will ultimately set the price, but they are coming. Doesn't sound like it will be in time for plant works, which is obviously a disappointment, but hopefully they will be here by the time that something like Hillhead rolls around. But watch this space. If I hear any more from Chaim between now and then, I'll be the first to let you know. People, that's an hour of your morning already gone, and we've done nothing much more than talk about what belongs on the top of a piece of toast. Frankly, I'm inclined to go and jump on a plane and head on over to have some cinnamon sugar on toast. That sounds like an absolute treat for me. Yeah, there's another thing. Americans. You ever had an American cinnamon bun? Might be the greatest invention of all time. I realise, a cure for cancer would be quite handy. I'm astonished by things like computers and the space shuttle, but the cinnamon bun. Has there been a greater contribution to mankind than the cinnamon bun? I'm not entirely sure there is. And there is Dan Cohen saying, thank you, Mark. Have a great day. You have a great day too, Dan. Keep advertising PlantWorks. Speaking of which, if anybody hasn't already pre-registered and would like to do so, I do need to send you the link. You will find it in the chat right now. Not sure what competitions they've got going on at the moment, but go and have a look. And Andy Bullock says, most IRL streamers on Twitch TV using a thing called LiveView. It's multiple network providers that work so you don't lose signal. It's not cheap, unfortunately, but you can hire it if you do important events. Yeah, we've had a look at that. We've also, and yes, just to answer, Sweden does cinnamon rolls as well and do a damn fine cinnamon roll. Very different, but do have a damn fine cinnamon roll as well. Going back to the live view thing, we have looked at that. We've also looked at a system from the folks at Plinks. Plinks actually helped us broadcast the FutureWorks event last year. And that works in a very similar way. They basically were able to literally a plug and play. There's a 5G connection, and it was plenty fast enough to do this. It kept us online for the entire day. The IRL streamers, for those of you who don't know, that's in real life streamers. Yeah, to my mind, I mean, it is expensive. So you're paying for the kit. You're also paying for the actual data transfer as well. So it does get very expensive. The biggest problem I found with it is the fact that it's so unwieldy. When I tend to be, and when I'm out in real life, I tend to have a backpack on. With this, you'd probably need two, because you've got to have all of that stuff, plus the batteries to drive it and everything else, plus your camera gear, plus your tripod. Just unwieldy. I'm sure over time it will shrink and shrink and shrink. But one of these days, yes. You can get frozen ones in IKEA. I've never looked. If I find myself in IKEA, which I don't do very often, out of choice, but if I find myself in IKEA, I have but one thing on my mind: meatballs. And is it lingonberry sauce they do with it? Oh, now we're talking. Keep your toast, keep your cinnamon sugar, meatballs with lingonberry jam. Oh, now we're talking. Right, people. Starving now. People, go and have a fantastic day. It's the end of the week tomorrow. We'll be back for Fabulous Friday. Can't tell you if it's actually going to be fabulous, but I'm hoping. I'll be back 10 a.m. tomorrow. And also, fingers crossed, I think I've probably got enough content to do tomorrow afternoon's 1 p.m. show, the construction equipment news. As I say, I think I've got enough content. I'll be checking after this, and I'm sure we've had a few more bits and pieces coming in. So assuming I can pull together enough information for the show, I'll be doing that one as well. And then Yes, then I'll be here on Monday, but I won't be here on Tuesday and Wednesday next week because I will be in the Czech Republic. And since I don't own a live view system, you get a couple of days off. How will you manage? I would suggest you eat toast. That would be my suggestion. Right, people, go and have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for all your contributions. I'll see you again very, very soon. All the best.